everyone. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the SpookNotes podcast, where we get academic about everything that goes bump in the night. My name is Marlayna.
And I'm Connor.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be having a little debate on what is the best Halloween movie. And when I say Halloween movie, I don't mean the Halloween franchise. I mean
a movie set on Halloween.
Yeah, like Halloween themed.
And it's not really a debate. I mean, really, the way I'm thinking about it, it's just we're going to give you guys two recommendations of what we think you guys should watch on Halloween.
Oh, hells no. This is going to be a full-on debate. I'm going to win this shit.
It's not a competition.
It's a competition.
There's no debate.
Yeah, there is. I'm going to win.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyways, so in this week's episode, we're going to talk about two movies, both set on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And about, like, the holiday Halloween, and both movies that we think are good movies to watch on Halloween night. Like, you're sitting there in your house, the trick-or-treaters are outside, and you're putting on these two movies. We think they would make a really good Halloween night watch. The other thing is, like our Stephen King episode, we didn't tell each other what movies we are going to be talking about. So we're going in blind. Marlayna doesn't know what I'm talking about, and she doesn't know what... And I don't know what she's going to be talking about.
However, for the entire week, I have heard Connor saying, "Oh, Marlayna, I know what you did." This bitch does not know what I did.
So, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do our regular episodes where we break down a movie and all its themes. But we're going to do it kind of like two mini episodes. So we're going to do Marlayna's movie, and then we're going to do my movie, and so that way you have two movies to watch on Halloween night, because everyone should watch a horror movie on Halloween.
That's correct.
So, Marlayna, why don't you go first? What movie are you going to be telling me about tonight?
Well, I'm going to be talking about Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
You're joking, right?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Did you see that coming?
You're serious?
Yeah.
You're talking about...
Halloween Town. The Disney Channel movie.
No, you're not. You're joking.
Dude, I'm serious. It's written right there. Do you see it?
Why the hell are you talking about... This isn't even a horror movie.
Bitch, this is Halloween Town.
Oh my god, this
is
terrible.
No. The criteria for this podcast was specifically pick a Halloween-themed movie about Halloween.
Oh my god.
It's Halloween Town. It's in the name.
I haven't even seen this movie.
Well, that's too bad. We can watch...
I haven't even heard of this. I don't even know what this movie's about.
Oh, come on. I rant about this movie all the time saying how it's the best Halloween movie ever.
Oh my god, this sounds
Anyways,
terrible.
Be quiet. We're going to get right into the nitty-gritty, and we're going to talk about Halloween Town 2. So, Halloween Town 2 is actually the second installment in the Halloween Town series, and it came out in 2001. This movie is written by James Cooksey and Alice Mason, and they were actually screenplay writers who were married at the time, but later divorced in 2013. They were actually story editors for the series called Rugrats. You've heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of the Rugrats.
And they were actually screenplay writers for the 2004 show called The Collector. Well, I don't know. You haven't heard about the Halloween Town movie, so I
because I actually watch good stuff.
Hey, shut the fuck up. So this movie was actually directed by Mary Lambert.
I know.
Well, our viewers may not know this. So Mary Lambert also directed movies such as Pet Sematary and Pet Sematary 2. So there you go. That's the main horror stream.
Well, she really went downhill after Pet Sematary.
Oh my... No, she went up.
By the way, this entire conversation, I'm just gonna shit talk this movie.
So
I've never even heard it, but...
So it is a debate.
No.
Bitch, I'm gonna win this.
Oh my god.
Okay, so this movie stars a wide variety of celebrities, such as Kimberly J. Brown, who plays Marnie, Debbie Reynolds, who plays Aggie Cromwell, and she is actually the mother of Carrie Fisher, or Princess Leia. Some other celebrities include Judith Huang, Daniel Counts, Joey Zimmerman, Philip Van Dyke, and Emily Rosick. Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing this synopsis for you and also Connor, who has not watched this movie. Or maybe you have watched this movie, and if you have, you rock.
I'm sorry.
You rock. Okay, so basically, Witch Marnie Cromwell has just spent 2 years with her grandma, Aggie, while hosting a mortal neighborhood Halloween party. Marnie tries to impress a cute boy named Cal by showing him Aggie's magically hidden room. Unknown to Marnie, Cal is actually the son of Calabar, who is the evil warlock within the first Halloween town.
Are we seriously talking about this movie?
Dude, it's his son. Okay, so Cal takes the opportunity to steal Aggie's spell book and then slips the spell book in his pocket. This bitch is sneaky as fuck. Soon Aggie notices his unwelcome magical symptoms. Like, she doesn't know this guy's evil, but she just feels something's off. And she feels the need to travel to Halloween Town. So her and Marnie, they travel to Halloween Town and investigate and fix any potential problems. When they get to Halloween Town, however, they discover that the whole town has actually turned black and white and is very bleak, and all of the creatures that inhabit Halloween Town are turned into humans who are very dreary and just very boring in their overall nature. So Marnie and Aggie are like, the fuck, and we have to like fix this shit as quick as possible. So they try to find Aggie's second spellbook because she's smart and she has 2 spellbooks. So the other one's in Halloween Town, and it's perfect because they're there. So they try to find this other spellbook to reverse the gray spell that's going on in Halloween Town. So, so as they're doing this, they kind of run into problems in Halloween Town. I won't go into all that bullshit, but whatever. Accidentally, Marnie figures out the reversal spell for the gray spell while looking for the spellbook. So, aside from all of that shit, snap back to reality, Cal, which is Calabar's son, is using Aggie's original spellbook to cast a spell on the mortals in the community to turn them all into creatures like the ones in Halloween Town. And Aggie and Marnie are like, LOL, no, and then they stop him, thus restoring peace. So that's kind of like just a brief synopsis. I thought I wouldn't go into too much detail because, Connor, you can go see the movie yourself.
It sounds fucking awful.
That's fine. It's amazing. It's the best movie ever
made.
What
themes could there possibly be in this fucking stupid shit?
Yo, calm down. Relax. Okay, so obviously this is a kids movie and there isn't meant to be super like in-depth themes as some of the normal movies we talk about, but one of them really stood out to me in the movie, and this is kind of like the only theme that I'm gonna be talking about. So this is kind of perfect that I'm going first because mine's like very short and sweet, you know? And it's talking about a really good movie that I'm pretty sure most of you have seen. It's on the Disney Channel. We grew up with it. Yeah. So we're just gonna get right into this. So the theme I noticed in this movie is that Halloween is actually a dying holiday. And this can be seen by graying Halloween Town. So, when breaking it down, I tried getting really analytical with this shit, but basically, Cal represents a more progressive part of society, or it can be an allegory for adults. The Cromwell family, however, represents a more liberal part of society, or can also be seen as an allegory for children and their mindset. Cal wants to be a stopper in Halloween Town and make everything boring. Because adults are boring.
You're an adult.
Exactly. Adult lives are seen as being boring and lacking creativity and fun. Adult lives are more structured and then spontaneous lives, which are more reflected in children's lives. Another supporting point to this is that Marnie's mother tries to forget she is a witch, and she represses her witch powers in the beginning. In the end, she embraces them, much like how adults are now. Adults seem to be a part of a busy society and have many roles in them, and often we push aside our creativity and spontaneous decisions for a more structured and conscious and premeditated life. So that was definitely one theme I saw all throughout the Halloween Town 2 movie, is that, well, even today, like in modern society, like right now, it's like I'll walk down the street and it's a few days before Halloween, and how many people have up decorations? Nobody, because everybody likes to forget Halloween. forget how to have fun. And you can contest to that too. You
Well,
talk about that all the time.
I will say, well, kind of, but also Halloween's like second biggest commercial holiday, so I don't really think you can say it's going away. If anything, it's getting bigger every year.
But then if it's getting so big, how come we don't see it like when we walk down the street?
I mean, I think you do see it. I think that not everybody, but there are some people who have decorations out.
I know, but like compared to, let's say, 20 years ago.
I would say it's about the same.
No.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay, so Halloween's a dying holiday. It's reflected in Halloween Town too. It's factual information.
Okay.
Also, another piece of factual information is Halloween Town actually exists. So fans of the series can actually visit Halloween Town and relive some of that magic in St. Helens, Oregon, where the movie was filmed. The town welcomes tourists and holds a month-long Spirit of Halloween Town festival every October. We should go to that next year.
No thanks.
All right. Why I like this movie and why I think this is a good Halloween movie, if not the best Halloween movie. It's in the name of the title. It's in the title of the movie. Well, to start off,
So is Halloween.
shut up. This movie reminds me of my childhood, and I was fortunate enough to have the Disney Channel, unlike you, so you never experienced this shit. You don't know what it's like. But basically, I remember every year this movie would be aired on the Disney Channel. And I'm not kidding. I would look forward to it, and I would like schedule a time so I could watch Halloween Town 2. It was my favorite Halloween movie. And I don't know, it just brings back so many good memories. Like, I would sit in front of the TV with a bowl of popcorn, maybe some candy, and I just loved it so much. It was that nostalgia, you know? I really, really liked it. Also, it's a very fun movie. You know, it's cheesy. And you know me, I like that shit. And it just gives off like classic Halloween vibes, like people dressing up in corny costumes, having corny like Halloween town or Halloween parties and all that stuff. And also, it kind of just plays off of classic fears as a child, like turning into a monster and you can't get back to your original form, much like the movie. Or just the fear of growing up and becoming boring. It's just playing off of like classic fears, and I don't know, I just think it's a fun, all-around good Halloween movie.
Is that everything? Well, I feel bad for the listeners. I would like to go back and rescind my statement. I think that just forget about the first movie. Just watch the second movie I'm about to say on Halloween night. No, I'm joking. I mean, I respect that, and I think that, you know, if anything, we should have renamed this podcast episode to Childhood Halloween Movies. Because the movie I picked is not a movie. It is an episode of a TV show.
Oh my god, I think I know what it is.
Yeah, what is it?
Is it Goosebumps?
It is Goosebumps episode 1, The Haunted Mask.
Oh my gosh.
So if anything, this is more like children's Halloween specials or Halloween movies.
You know, I do find it's very interesting how we kind of went back to our childhood to make this episode.
And we both didn't even... It's not like we picked these, like...
No.
Together.
Honestly, I thought you were going to do something more like...
Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
No.
Well...
I picked The Haunted Mask because I love The Haunted Mask.
See, I want to say, like... I want to shit talk Connor, but I really can't because I love this. This is also another one that I watch.
For you, it's just... I've never seen this movie, so I can't say if it's good or bad or not.
Oh, it's fucking beautiful.
And if it does bring you back to that, like, memories of childhood, I think that's what Halloween is a lot of. And I think that for other people, whatever they say is their favorite thing to watch on Halloween, it is what they watch when they're a kid, whether it was, like, The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, or, like, Halloween specials. Like, another thing that always reminds me of Halloween is, like, the Simpsons Halloween specials, Trios of Terrors.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I love those. So, I mean...
I guess it's all up to the person. You know, what they grew up with as a child is kind of what's going to stick with them the most.
Because originally this episode was just going to be Halloween movies in general, but I feel like because we both independently chose a children's Halloween movie, that says something.
That does. Wow, this is getting really deep really quick.
Well, I actually did find some deep themes and stuff in mine.
Jesus.
So let's transition into mine. So Halloween Town, I'm joking with you. It's a great pick. Never seen it. Maybe I'll watch it. Probably not. But
we're gonna
maybe.
watch it tonight.
No, thanks. So for my pick, it's not a movie. Unfortunately, it is a TV episode. But if you watch, because there's a two-parter, The Haunted Mask, and if you watch The Haunted Mask 2, which is like almost a direct sequel, that's also a two-parter. So altogether, it's like 120 minutes. So that's like almost a full movie.
Well, when I was a kid, I actually had this movie on VHS.
Halloween Town 2?
No. The Haunted Mask.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was an episode from the show, but it was in a VHS, like, thing. So, in my mind as a kid, I'm like, put in the movie, you know?
Well, yeah, and I think I would recommend that you watch The Haunted Mask and The Haunted Mask 2 back to back, because they work so well together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyways, The Haunted Mask, obviously, is the Goosebumps TV show from the 90s. I don't know if you know this, The Haunted Mask was the very first episode of the show ever aired.
I didn't know that. I thought it was Welcome to Dead House, but I know that's the first book. And, yeah. Okay, fun fact.
Yeah, that's my first fun fact. And it was aired October. It was aired 2 nights, obviously, because it's 2 parts. Mm-hmm. October 27th and October 28th, 1995, which would mean that's the first Halloween season we were ever alive for.
Oh my God! Stop.
The Haunted Mask.
Wow. Goosebumps.
So,
literally.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick synopsis or a quick summary or introduction to the episode. So, I mean, it's pretty famous. I think a lot of people know what it's about, but in case you forget, The Haunted Mask tells the story of 12-year-old Carly Beth Caldwell, a shy, timid girl who's frequently bullied by her tormentors, Chuck and Steve. Particularly, she is bullied through scary pranks. They like to scare her because she's very, like, cowardly and is very, like,
easily
susceptible.
Scared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, basically, Carly Beth attempts to get some revenge on her bullies and scare them back by going to an old mask shop that is in town that's run by a strange old man. Carly Beth finds and steals a particularly scary mask after being told by the old man that it is not for sale. Carly Beth later puts on the old mask and takes a plaster bust of her own head that her mother made for her. She takes, obviously, this to try to fool Chuck and Steve into thinking that she's some sort of monster that killed the real Carly Beth. So, Carly Beth soon finds that her mask is making her more aggressive and mean-spirited, and after she gets her revenge on Chuck and Steve, she begins to terrorize the neighborhood on Halloween night. Soon, though, after she's had her fun, she realizes that the mask won't come off, and not just that the mask doesn't seem to have a line anymore. It's becoming her own face. Now, in a race against time, Carly Beth must find a way to remove the mask before Halloween night is over and the mask takes over her mind forever.
Wow. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off right there, but if you really think of it, the 2 movies we chose kind of have the same situation going on. Because in Halloween Town 2, like, especially in the mortal world, like, the guy, he casts a spell on them to turn them into creatures from the mask that they're wearing.
Kind of. I think the main difference
Well, I know, it is different, but I'm like... Oh,
well, I'll say the main difference in mine that I think is... I'll talk about a lot of my themes that I think really makes it interesting. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite episodes of the whole show is that she does it voluntarily. Like, this is not something that happens to her. It's something that she chooses to do.
True.
But I'll get into that later. Okay. So, others' opinions... So obviously, it's a TV show, so it doesn't have a lot of others' opinions. It has an 8.7 on IMDb. But it is considered to be, by fans of the show, one of the best episodes of all time because it has a genuine depth to it and an actual level of adult content that is not seen in the show very often. Like, here's the thing. I love Goosebumps, and I think Goosebumps has a lot of great episodes, but it also has a lot of episodes that are pretty much trash and have no real redeeming value or are just kind of silly and stupid. But I think that The Haunted Mask actually does have, like, it's actually legitimately scary and has some adult content to it.
Dude, I remember especially the one part at the end where all those, like, heads are floating around. That still scares me with their, like, ooh, like, their moaning voices. Like, that's actually really scary.
Well, the very next sentence I've written was, not to mention the fact that this episode, specifically its climax with the multiple floating masks, is notorious for being especially scary for such a popular kids show.
Yeah.
R.L. Stine has called it his favorite Goosebumps book/episode. he ever made.
Nice.
One thing I found interesting that was crazy to me was it had a Nielsen rating of 8.2. Do you know what that means?
No.
So the Nielsen rating, I don't know if it's still around, but basically it was a system wherein it's a system given to TV episodes, things that aired on prime time, where in the U.S., where basically it gives a percentage of all the households that have a TV and gives a rating for it. So a rating of 8.2 means that 8.2% out of 100, obviously, of every single household in America that had a TV was watching The Haunted Mask on the night it came out.
Wow.
This is almost a tenth of the country.
That's pretty good.
I know. That was a surprise. I mean, obviously things like Game of Thrones now get like huge numbers.
Yeah, but
like for a kids TV show on a primetime like spot, that's pretty good.
There's a lot of 90s kids back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they would have all been 90s kids. Because it was the 90s.
Including us.
Yeah, we were just the babies.
We're just small.
Yep.
Small babies.
Okay, so a little bit of background on Seth's history. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a TV show, so there's not a lot, but basically, it was, so like I said, it was the first episode of the show. It was also the first episode that was hosted by R.L. Stine, who gave his little introduction and closing to the episode.
Hi, I'm R.L. Stine. I write the Goosebumps books. Except more monotone.
The episode was shot in and around Toronto, which is very close to where we live.
Wow. I actually did not know that.
Well, a lot of Goosebumps was shot in and around Toronto.
Huh.
The episode, Revenge of the Mutant, or is it Attack of the Mutant? You can actually see the CN Tower and like the Air Canada Center.
Wow. We'll have to watch that. I want to see that.
Okay. Another thing that I found that was cool, a fun fact, was the scene. You remember the scene early on where Carly Beth bites into the sandwich and has a worm in it?
Yep.
That's a real worm.
Ew.
And the actress wanted to do it, and it took her 12 takes to do it.
She wanted to do it?
Yeah, because she said it would be more authentic. Ugh. Speaking of which, the actress Catherine Long, who plays Carly Beth, is widely considered by fans to be among the best actors the show ever had because she convincingly gives the performance of a shy girl who turns into like a terrifying monster. Over 14 million people watched the first episode when it first aired. One other fun fact that I don't have written down, but I thought was funny, was remember how Carly Beth has that friend, Sabrina, I think? Mm-hmm. So the actress who plays Carly Beth is named Catherine Long.
Yep.
Did you know that the actress who plays Sabrina, her name's Catherine Short?
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I know.
Double
Moving
Catherine. Fun facts.
Well, not just double Catherine, but Catherine Long and Catherine Short.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I didn't get that until now. Holy shit, that went right over me. That's amazing.
So, my opinion on the episode.
Dude, the guy who cast these chicks deserves a freaking raise. Well, did deserve a raise.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, carry on. I'm so sorry.
So I mean, I love this episode. I love Goosebumps in general, and this episode is one of my favorite in the whole series, personally. Although I still prefer One Day at Horrorland.
And we just watched that, too.
Another thing I wrote down was that I think this episode legitimately does feature good acting and good directing, which is something that's rare for this series. But not only that, but it has like a really authentic like Halloween atmosphere. Because this Halloween night that's portrayed in this episode is really, it feels like Halloween.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of other Halloween-related movies don't capture. Like, if you think about, like, the movie Halloween from 1978, like, obviously it's a great film, like, top five favorite films of all time for me, but it doesn't, like, I mean, it doesn't really matter that it's set on Halloween. Like, it could be set, like, on any night of the year. The actual event of Halloween doesn't really matter.
That's true.
Versus here, I think it's much more meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's quite scary and famous for like the nightmares and stuff it probably caused. And finally, the reason I like it is because it actually features adult content and themes that I will dive into now. So, one of the things I noticed with the themes when I was kind of getting into it was these aren't just themes that relate to horror movies, like so many of the themes we've talked about before, but they're actually themes that relate to kind of childhood in general and speak to what it means to be a kid. So the first big theme that I kind of identified was kind of the theme of self-esteem and peer pressure in this episode, because in the beginning of the episode, Carly Beth is clearly unhappy with her life and her situation in school and at home, because even though she does have a good friend in Sabrina, she has like a loving family, a mom who clearly loves her, and she even mentions that she's good at school and she gets good grades. So she has all this, but she's still not happy, and she's like almost depressed. But in the beginning of it, you get the sense that she's almost like clinically depressed because
Well, she feels like she doesn't belong.
yeah.
You know.
And I think when we look back on that in 2018, we can clearly see that she like has a obvious case of like low self-esteem. She doesn't, even though she has all these good things to look about, she only considers the bad parts of her life.
That's true.
You know, and that's mostly because of the way that Chuck and Steve bully her, causing everyone else at school to laugh at her. She tends to ignore her positive traits, such as her kind and caring nature, and instead focuses on her negative traits like her shyness and cowardliness. You know.
Yep.
So, because of her low self-esteem, Carly Beth is driven to perform some unsavory actions. Like, even before she even puts the mask on, she steals the mask, you know, because she wants that to get the revenge on Steve and Chuck. So it's kind of that her low self-esteem drives those kind of negative actions, you know?
Like, she will stop at nothing to, like, make this happen. Like, she really wants it.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously she also ruins the plaster head that her mom made for her. You know, and it's a very modern idea. The fact that like the way that others see you and peer pressure affects how you act, and if it's in a negative way, then it leads you to continue to act in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, again, it's something that we see all the time in schools across the world to this day. Like it's still a problem today, bullying and all that. So luckily, I mean, in the show, Carly Beth is able to realize that she's making these mistakes, and you know takes actions to correct them before there's any kind of long term ramifications. Like obviously, sometimes what has happened in real life when kids have low self esteem and it drives them to depression and you know self harm, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that's why I basically came up with the idea that so basically by the end of the episode, Carly Beth is more confident in herself and acknowledges her positive traits and her individuality and focuses on that instead of focusing on what kind of you know maybe other people want her to be. And that's why I kind of thought that the haunted mask was itself a metaphor for low self-esteem, right? Because if you think about it, it attaches itself to Carly Beth the same way low self-esteem attaches itself to people, and it doesn't let go of people. It's hard. You can't just shake it off. It's not just like a feeling that you have sometimes and other times you're happy. It's something that stays with you and won't let go of you. Just the same way the mask, Carly Beth couldn't take the mask off.
Oh my god, that's like really deep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, and again, the longer she had it on her, the more difficult it was to take off. Just the way the longer you live with low self-esteem and kind of self-hatred,
it becomes a part of you.
Exactly. So in the episode, Carly Beth literally has to use a symbol of love to remove the mask in order to free herself of kind of that issue. And then when she does, she's better for it because at the end of the episode, she's more confident, she's more kind of positive and, you know, self-confident too. And she clearly has what I think is a higher self-esteem.
That's really good, honestly. Wow.
So that was just one of the themes I saw in the episode. Another one was kind of the theme of becoming another person, which this is kind of more of the Halloween idea.
Yep.
Because obviously Halloween is a holiday that is loved by kids and adults because it's like the one time of the year that you can put on a costume. You can become somebody you're not, especially if you are unhappy with the person you are in real life, like Carly Beth is in the episode. Then on Halloween night, you can be whoever you want to be with no consequences. If in real life you think that you are fat or something, on Halloween night you can dress up as Superman and be strong, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that idea of putting on a persona to be the person you want to be rather than the person you are.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another thing that I thought this episode did a good job. Because, again, that is a very Halloween-centric idea, you know?
That's why this Halloween I dressed up as Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
Is that
She's
who you want to
everything
be?
I want to be. Sassy and an alcoholic.
I mean, again, obviously this episode takes that idea a little bit farther because it's not only the person you want to be, but it's the person Carly Beth is literally becoming because of the way the mask takes over her mind. And I just think that plus that idea of like a Halloween mask with like kind of that latex smell and that feel to it, it's kind of suffocating feel. The fact that you can't take that off, I think that in and of itself is scary.
That's scary. Like, I'm claustrophobic, so no thanks.
And then the last thing, real quick, I want to talk about was this episode. I think obviously features themes of revenge and kind of the negative consequences that come with trying to get revenge on those who you feel have wronged you. Mm-hmm. So this is obviously a theme that has appeared in a lot of horror movies, but it's not something you often see in like children's TV. The theme of revenge and the consequences of revenge.
Well, like in a way, I think it should be.
You know,
like, you should show that because, you know, if somebody punches you in the face, you're not going to make the situation better by punching them in the face.
Well, that's what exactly. Because that's exactly what I was going to say. Because oftentimes, you know, young kids, you know, we don't even think about it, but they really are, if you think about it, often driven by a need for revenge. Without, like, not that they're malicious, but they don't even know about it. Like, a little kid, a little boy, if one little boy trips another, that other little boy is guaranteed to come back up and try to trip them, you know? Like, it's those kind of little acts of vengeance that kind of drive a lot of actions when you're a kid, right? Because you just don't know any better.
That's true.
You know?
And it only gets worse, I guess, you know, the older you get.
Yeah, and I mean, with Carly Beth, the idea of getting even is such a driving emotion for her throughout the plot of the episode. And then obviously that leads to negative consequences. Like, her need to get revenge is what leads her to putting the mask on and then all the other terrible things that happen.
Yep.
So it's again, it's just an emotion. Revenge is an emotion, something you don't see often in children's TV, and I think is very interesting. So yeah, those are basically the themes that I saw in this episode.
Oh, very good.
So some fears that that the episode touches on. I thought losing one's identity is an obvious fear that a lot of people have. You know, that idea of becoming somebody you're not.
Yep. You
know, whether or not that's just at certain times or, you know, in general. Obviously, if you're bullying, like I said earlier, just the fact that the mask getting stuck on you is pretty scary. Slowly becoming evil and or damned is something that you see a lot in horror, and I think is pretty evident in this episode. Revenge is a curse. And then another one that I didn't talk about earlier, but kind of that, you know, issue of PTSD.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't want to ever put on another mask.
Well, in the sequel, like, you can see, like, how much the events of this night had, like, shaped her, both in a good and negative way. Like, in the sequel, she's much more confident and stuff, and Chuck and Steve can't really scare her anymore, but she also, like, you know, is clearly dealing with these issues and the things she did. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? After we saw the new Halloween movie, I'm like, Laurie Strode is kind of like Carly Beth.
Oh my god, it all connects, guys.
Because it's something that happened Halloween night and then comes back, you know, Halloween night later. So,
yeah, basically, the Haunted Mask is just a watered-down version of the Halloween movie.
Yeah, basically. So final thoughts. Like I said, overall, I love the Haunted Mask because of the way it depicts Halloween and because of the way that, even though it's aimed at a younger audience, I think it has a lot of themes that maybe you don't, even though you don't pick up on as a kid, you definitely kind of, you know, enter your mind.
Well, yeah, and the older you get, I think you can read between the lines a little bit more, especially with the themes you talked about. Like, it all makes sense when you get older.
Yeah. But I mean, I still think it has a fun kind of Halloween setting, and it's something that I try to watch almost every single October because it really does bring me back to my Halloween as a kid, you know? I don't know, what do you think about Haunted Mask?
I love it, honestly. See, you were shit-talking Halloween Town too, but I can't at all talk bad about the Haunted Mask because, A, I also watched that, like, when I say movie, I mean, like, the VHS. I watched that so many times as a kid, and it freaked me out, and I loved it. So yeah, so I love it. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind watching that tonight along with Halloween Tattoo.
So, so I think that brings us to the end of our podcast. So these are two, even though we started off and I thought we were going to talk about real horror movies, we ended up both talking about kids' movies.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Actually really cool. Wow, see, great minds think alike.
So go this Halloween season, watch some
movies that, bring you back to when you're a kid, because those are the ones that really stick with you, and those are the ones that are the most fun.
By the way, also, real quick, before we finish,
Yep.
because you didn't talk about it, and I thought you were going to talk about it, I just want to mention that if you actually want a real horror movie to watch on Halloween, please do yourself a favor and watch Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
That
movie's
These movies
amazing.
are both great because they're fun children's movies, but if you actually want an actual movie set on Halloween that's about Halloween, that's actually really scary and good, watch Trick or Treat.
Yeah, because many times you've said that's, like, the movie to watch on Halloween night. Because, like, it has all that, like, atmosphere and,
If I had to choose one movie that because here's the thing about Trick or Treat. I love that movie. I almost kind of never want to watch it when it's not on Halloween. I almost want to keep it for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Like, same thing if, like, I was watching, like, Black Christmas or Krampus. Those are movies I watch during Christmas, I don't like watching them other times of the year. Like,
That's
Trick or
true.
Treat, I want to watch on Halloween night. I've watched it the last 2 Halloween nights in a row. I want to watch it again this Halloween night. Trick or Treat is just, it's my favorite movie to watch on Halloween.
That's right. Hands down.
Yeah.
No questions about it.
But these other 2 are still great.
Yeah, they're excellent movies.
So, Marlayna, where can they find us?
You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all under the handle SpookNotes. And if you guys want to even comment what your favorite Halloween Town movie, we'll do that too. But a Halloween time movie in the comments. We would love to hear your guys' responses. If you have any future suggestions, comments, or concerns, you can email us directly at spooknotes@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, Connor, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it. Well, one other thing we should say.
What?
Have a happy Halloween.
Have a happy Halloween. And don't forget to cite the Spook Notes. Bye!
Bye!